Welcome back to Grassroots Radio in Colorado. This is Andy Pate and Corey Pate sitting in for Chris Cook, the goddess of liberty. She's taken the night off. She will be back tomorrow. We are talking to Mark Mathis, producer of the movie Spoiled. Mark, I want to ask you really quick before we go on and start looking at the impacts of lower oil and gasoline prices. How did you become an expert on this?
You know, it was really just, I've been at this for about more than a dozen years now, and it just started with as I said, my consulting, where I then became fascinated by energy in general, but really oil and gas specifically. So after many years of becoming a consultant and a speaker on these issues and reading, book after book and, thousands of articles literally, and then doing my own analysis, it just sort of came that way. Years ago, I started an energy education nonprofit organization, and I spent a lot of time studying all the different facets of energy. And so through the years, I've just kept up that interest and research, and along the way used that to develop perspectives on what's really going on when it comes to energy.
Well, yeah, and I noticed in the movie Spoiled, you interviewed a lot of the head honchos in the industry, and even some who are not so friendly to the industry. And I love the balanced approach, and you just seem so knowledgeable on the topic. With that knowledge, tell us this, please. Lower oil, gasoline prices, what happened? Why is it there? Is it going to stay there? What can people expect?
Yeah, I can lay out sort of what I see. It would be a guess, and anybody else who's weighing into this, for them it would also be a guess because it can be hard to predict. But I can tell you what happened. It was a convergence of really two major factors. There are other smaller factors as well, but the biggest factor was shale oil production in the United States.
Really?
Yes. You go back to about 2005, and the United States was only producing somewhere around 5 million barrels of oil a day, which was off of our high. It came in the early 70s, and we were on this downward trend, and it really looked pretty bleak there for a while. But with the shale revolution, which started with natural gas and then advanced to light oil, which I was one of the skeptics. I did not think we would be able to produce massive quantities of oil using this hydraulic fracturing and horizontal drilling technology, but it was, like a lot of people, was proven wrong.
Mark, if I could jump in, because so many people on the left, one of their big talking points, though, is that our fracking boom here has had no effect. On the worldwide market, that doesn't seem to be right to me.
No.
But and I understand there are other factors, of course. The Saudis wanting to deal with Iran and the Russians and so forth. But are you saying it's having a massive effect? Because that seems to make more sense to me.
Oh, it's the biggest effect. And so here's the reason why. We went from 5 million barrels of oil a day to today we're getting close to 10 million. So the United States has doubled its oil production capacity. That's the biggest factor by far. The second biggest factor is the deceleration of the Chinese economy. They were advancing at a clip of almost double digits or over double digits for many, many years, and their economy is seriously slowing down. I've seen, that they're advancing at maybe 6 or 7% per year this year. I don't think it's even that fast. So their consumption is way down. The worldwide economy is still in a funk, so it is not returned to where it was, from, say, 2008. So you've got less demand on the world market, and then you have the increased supply that's come from the United States through shale oil. So the thing to keep in mind about oil prices is that there are significant price swings on the margin. Right now, the world is demanding, depending on whose numbers you believe, somewhere between 90 and 92 million barrels of oil a day. So you would think that, okay, if the world is producing or is capable of producing, say, 94 million instead of 92 million, that would matter. That would push the price down a little bit. But that's not the way it works in global commodities markets. A small gap, if you are unable to produce what the world is demanding, the price difference can be extreme. Or if you're overproducing, the price difference can be extreme. So as an example, let's say the world was only able to produce, say, 89 million barrels a day when it was requiring 92. That difference of only 3 million barrels of oil a day would be the difference between the $2 a gallon gas we have now and $6 a gallon.
Wow.
That small decrease or inability to meet demand will have a gigantic impact on prices.
Well, in that case, our fracking boom has to be having a big impact.
Oh, if you took, look, let's just imagine this. If you were to take the 5 million barrels of oil a day off the world market, so which is the extent of
could I keep it?
The U.S. increase. If you had 5 million barrels you took off the market, the price of a barrel of oil today would probably be over $200, and a gallon of gas would be north of $6.
That's insane. Mark, you just explained some really amazing facts here, but if I wanted to take some of what you just said and bring it down to a level where we could reach people who don't know about oil or maybe a young person, are there any good talking points that you could give us to help us bridge this knowledge gap?
Well, this is the biggest, and this is why I make films, because while I love books and I love information and really getting into understanding this stuff, I understand that the general public really doesn't have that interest or capacity. So you have to give people something they can grasp. And so to a young person, I would say, let's say you're 22 years old, why should I care about energy or why should I care about oil?
Yeah, that's what they say.
And I would say, well, how would you like it if I were to tell you today that your life is half over at 22 or 23?
I'd be pretty shocked if you told me that and I was that age.
I'd be shocked that I was that age.
Well, the reality is the average life expectancy in 1900 was 47 years old.
Okay.
And if you go back another 100 years, it starts coming down into the 30s. If you get back into the Greek era, ancient Greek era, you're looking at a life expectancy of anywhere between about 22 to 25 years old.
Wow.
It's only through oil and what oil has done as the foundation of the modern world, bringing us transportation and advanced medicines and products and a much easier, not labor-intensive lifestyle, that life expectancies have gone from 47 years old in 1900 to about 82 to 83 years old today. Life expectancy has almost doubled in the last little more than 100 years, and the force driving that is oil.
Well, and one thing that really still stands out to me to this day in your movie are all the things that we take for granted in our life. And going along with life expectancy, some of the things that you said about sanitation and just being able to keep our country clean and how oil is actually green because of that. Could you talk about that a little bit? Because that's always a fun topic to throw at people.
Well, it is. You shock people when I tell them oil is green. I mean, if you're
oil is green.
Green is actually a word that I don't really like because it's not very. I think it's been used in ways that make the word not mean what you think it means. But let's use the word clean. Well, oil's not clean. Oil's dirty. That's what we're told. Wait a minute. If oil is dirty, let's take oil away. And what does your environment look like then? So the only way you can get even close to that answer is you'd have to go to a third world country where you have roads that are unpaved. So it's constant dust in the air. There's no infrastructure. You have open sewers. You may not have indoor plumbing. These are some of the most desperate and dirty and filthy environments on the planet. These are the societies that don't use large amounts of oil to keep their societies clean. So it is oil that makes all of those things that we use to keep even our personal environment clean, such as not just your indoor plumbing systems, but every cleaner you have, and it goes beyond that. It's the paint on the walls. It's the varnish on your desk. It's absolutely everything you touch is made of oil, and so much of what we do with oil is actually geared toward keeping our personal and our societal environments clean. If we didn't have oil, it would be a filthy mess like it is in third world countries.
Well, so much of the problem of talking about oil to young people especially is that what you just said, there are so many things that it does, it's hard to cover them all. Now, in the next section, I want to look to the future. So when we bring you back from the break, Mark, I'd really like to look at what you're going to be doing with your new film, Fractured, and also what do you think will happen with oil prices, gas prices, the whole thing. You're listening to Grassroots Radio with Andy and Corey Pate.